Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Mark Schultz here with Digital Aircraft, and we are here for another late night NFTs. On Thursday nights at 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern time in the US, we've been going live and having a more casual, informal session about blockchain and aviation and NFTs. And tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the three things you need to know about implementing NFTs. We're going to talk a little bit about the reasons why you would implement an NFT and a little bit of the details of it. Tonight, we're going to talk about business decisions and process. And at another time, we're going to talk about execution. I have my guests with me. I'm going to bring them in, and we're just going to get going here tonight. Hi, Rachel.
Hey.
How are you tonight?
Great. Good to be here again.
Very good. That's Rachel Schultz. And for our first time watchers, Rach, tell everybody what you do.
I'm an animator and artist. I have worked on several shows and games as an animator in my past, and currently I'm at DreamWorks working as an animation supervisor.
Excellent. Rachel's on our board. She gives us creative advice and direction on our projects. And it's great to have her on board.
Great to be here.
Exactly. It's good to be there. Gabe, unfortunately, is not going to be on camera tonight. He's not going to be able to show us his face. And so he put his Aviator Peep NFT up. Gabe, are you there with us tonight?
I'm here. I'm a little bit under the weather today. So
right.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not going to be having the camera on today. But like you were saying, my name is Gabriel, and I've been working for DigitalAircraft for the past couple of years, doing sales and marketing, and just research on blockchain and blockchain products, and a lot of crypto analysis. And this is very exciting to be back on the broadcast.
I know. He said he wasn't feeling 100% today, and so I gave him the option 2 or 3 times to not be on the broadcast tonight, and he just loves this stuff so much that he said, "I got to be there. I want to be there." He wanted to be there in voice.
A little bit under the weather, but we're here.
Yep. But Gabe, you put up your Aviator Peep. Tell us about your Aviator Peep real quick.
Well, I don't know if you can see very well, but he's got a little Ethereum shirt on there. In light of the upcoming Ethereum merge to Ethereum 2.0.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So, and you got the partially angry eyes going on there, I guess, too.
He's ready. He's angry because it's been taking him so long for this Ethereum merge to happen.
The merge to cut over. And for those of you that don't know, we're going from proof of work to proof of stake. And there's been a lot of debate about it on what the challenges are going to be. But I understand that the chains the branches have already occurred, and the applications are going to start to be put on by next week. At least I heard that's what the plan is right now. So I was on what was I on? I was on the public platform last night listening to crypto news, and they had an expert on there on the Ethereum chain. He was talking about the migration, and he said everything seemed to be going pretty good right now. And he said next week things should be fully up and running, is what it sounds like. So we'll wait and see.
Oh man,
so that's exciting times. Good. Hey, listen, tonight we're going to be talking about NFTs. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've had a lot of people that have asked me about NFTs and have wanted to learn more about the process of implementing NFTs. And so because we have an NFT project going on, we decided a few months ago that would be a good opportunity to be able to use it as a case study, a use case to be able to present to you on the off hours. During the daytime hours, we're primarily looking at a wide range of different, use cases for blockchain, and we've been talking about all those. I've been bringing a lot of guests on, but a lot of people have been asking me about NFTs, utility NFTs, and so we're going to talk a bit about the process. And what I'm going to start out by doing is I'm going to bring up a slide, the first slide, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation about it, and we're going to bring it back and forth between Gabe and Rachel and I, and talk to you about it a little bit. So I coined this, the 3 things you need to know. All right, let me tell you why. Is because we want to look at the key elements of an NFT project. And, the question is that if you're doing an NFT project, there's a number of reasons why you would do an NFT project. And, Rach, I know you've heard some people say in the past that, NFTs are, kind of a bad thing. And I think there's been a bit of a misunderstanding of that, because there's all sorts of different kinds of NFTs. And what has been a little bit of the feedback you've gotten from people that you've talked to, and why?
Well, I live in the artist world, so many of my artist friends are not into NFTs, just because a lot of the art that is sold is not it's not really their style, or you see just a lot of fast art being sold at such a high at a high rate and at really high prices. So it's it's a little bit hard sometimes to like see the value. At the beginning it was hard to see like what is the value of creating an NFT, like where's there room for artists who have like worked all their life to create a craft and curate themselves. And so I think that it is definitely like changing, and I think it's really valuable to be a part of the NFT world. Like, first of all, you can put your art out there, and it's a way where you can promote yourself in a very specific way. And also you're able to not only use your art just for a selling point, but we are able to connect it with utilities, and it's a whole new way of using your artwork in a whole new way of promoting yourself with your art.
Yeah.
By using those utilities.
Yeah, and Rach, so true. You brought up a couple of really good points there, and I'm gonna, in a second, I'm gonna pass off a conversation to Gabe about utility, but I wanted to comment on the artistic part of it for a minute. Listen, a good friend of mine copied me over the weekend on a new NFT artist, and it was stunning. That's actually the comment that I made. The comment I made was stunning. What he actually did is he recreated artistic space photographs that looked like they were taken from the new, telescope, deep space telescope. And honestly, I could not tell the difference if it was really photograph art or if it was digital graphic art. And each one of them were unique. I don't know if he had multiple copies of it or not, but many times people are creating originals and they're actually putting them out as NFTs and they're selling them as originals. And so I think some of the early work that was done in NFTs, when people, did certain things where they made, caricatures and things like that. There was a lot of different things out there, and there was a lot of criticism, over that. And what happened over time is that it evolved to have more utility. It's like we talked about in one of our last broadcasts that like the Bored Apes are now, advertising, major brands, now today, and we're seeing the NFL and things like that. So some of the NFTs that came out originally have now evolved into utility NFTs as well. So Gabe, do you have the ability to give us a quick comment as what's the difference between a collectible NFT, one that has only collectible value, and one that has utility?
Yeah. So like we were talking about earlier, a lot of these NFTs are sold on OpenSea, and they're bought and sold and traded just solely on the value. Or on the price. But there are NFTs out there and companies that are implementing NFTs that have some sort of, like you were saying, utility attached to it, and so they serve some sort of function. This could be we went over a few different companies and their utility NFTs. One such as Air Baltic, they launched some NFTs and they had some utility being added to that, where they were going to be using loyalty programs and some I can't remember what was the
Gabe, you may not have even seen it today, but they actually released on their Discord today. They released that they're coming out with their planeys now, and so they have a release date, and they're doing a typical thing where they have a whitelist, and so they're putting them out as collectibles, and they're also attaching them to their loyalty programs, and you're going to be able to collect rewards in your wallet. So I think that's probably what you were thinking of.
Yeah, it just that was Air Baltic that we're doing with that, and we saw that. We also went over the NF tickets from Travel X, and they were using NFTs as an actual plane ticket, and that are going to be they're striving to make those tickets able to be bought and sold, and on a separate market, as opposed to buying airplane tickets and not being
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to
yeah.
sell those.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not sure who they have contracts with because I have no, direct business relationship with them. But I did see on LinkedIn, there was a post of them at the Southwest Airlines building, and there was a post of them at a conference in Europe where they were talking to different airlines. And so what I do know is they're talking to a lot of different airlines, mainstream airlines, who are interested in learning more about what they're doing, whether they've committed or not, to using NFTs as tickets. I don't know, but I know they're looking at it. They're really looking at it.
Right.
Yeah. So hey, we're gonna talk a bit more about the utility NFTs, but before I do, I just want to say if there's anybody out there who would like to just drop us a comment and tell us where you're watching from, that would be really interesting. I'd really appreciate it if you would just in the comment box, down below, just tell us where you're watching from. That would be fun. And if you have any questions tonight, you can feel free to drop your questions in the box as well. That would be great. We'll try to answer them for you. Okay, let's bring that slide back up if we could. I want to talk a bit more about what we're going to, like I said, I've had people talking to me about NFTs. Now they were specifically talking to people about utility NFTs. And so when we're talking about NFTs tonight, we're talking about utility NFTs. And it starts with really, you have a great idea. So someone comes to me and they says, I have a great idea. I want to do an NFT. My first response back to them is it in alignment with your core business? Okay. I mean, again, let me clarify. We're talking about utility NFTs, which are going to perform some kind of business function in your business. All right. So is it in alignment with your core business, or are you going to go off and do something new? I'm not saying you shouldn't go off and do something new, but is it in alignment with your core business? All right. The second thing that I usually ask people is that, does your community have the desire and the ability to pay? So if you're going to offer an NFT to your community, when I say your community, who is your community? Is it your maintenance company? Is it your IT company? Is it your prospects that are in the airlines, or is it the people that are owners and founders of businesses? But do they have the desire to be involved in a project, and do they have the ability to pay for it, right? And what's going to be your delivery mechanism? How are you going to do that? And then also the next thing I say is, how could you stack value? How could you add an NFT, a utility NFT, and add multiple functions, which would give it greater synergy? So how can you add 1, 2, 3, 4 different things to give a greater value? All right. And so let me ask the two of you, Gabe and Rachel, is that, like if you were looking at NFTs and you were trying to, look at business value, any thoughts on, like if you were looking at our business, for example, is that we offer certain products and services, what new products and services might we be able to provide if we stacked them in an NFT? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Either one of you.
Can you hear me? I was muted.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's something that we're doing right now, right? You're offering your services of teaching people how to create their own FTs and NFTs in general, and you're offering your own webinars that you've been displaying and doing for years now, the last couple of years throughout the aviation industry. So you're adding value to the aviation industry by offering your different services through your NFTs.
Yeah. So by bundling them together, we can now, take this utility of this NFT and say, hey, rather than having like procuring a service, for example, we can attach those services to this NFT. And Gabe, I know that one of the things that we're doing in there is we're adding, like technical training, and we have people that have already committed to do training that have been on my broadcast. How interesting is it for someone who's, wanting to advance their technical career to be able to have access to these kind of experts? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that first of all, this space is still very new, okay, and I think learning about these the abilities that we have with NFTs and with the utility and being able to be immutable and on the blockchain is massive. So learning about going into the technicals and being able to be a little bit early on this. I think that I think we still have a couple years, maybe a couple years before we go a little bit more mainstream with this. But
mainstream.
yeah, so I think that this is huge right now because
Yeah.
we are still pretty early.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to add too is that one of the creative things that we added to it is that we're giving the ability to resell the NFT. So, for example, you might be using it, and then if you say I'm not really using this anymore, we're allowing people to resell it. And so the reality is that you can acquire an NFT to get the business's products and services, and it retains the majority of the value, in that NFT, and then you can resell it to somebody else, and then you can actually get liquidity out of it, and somebody else can get benefit from it. So, hey, let's go to our next slide. I want to talk about the next piece of it here, which is the three main points. There's three main points I want to talk about tonight. Is that when you're looking at a utility NFT project, there's three main things you should look at. And the first one is community, all right? And tonight, again, remember, we're talking about the business process. Later on, we're going to talk about technicals and execution in another session. But tonight, we're talking about business processes. And so when I talk about community, you have to ask yourself, who is the community that I want to reach, right? So like, for example, in our particular project, we're saying our community we want to reach is business owners that maybe have a valuable product and service, and they want to get it out there, and they need a community to be able to reach to, right? So who is your community, all right? So that's like our community. And so the question is, where are they? Where do they reside? How do you reach that community? How do you reach them? And then how do you scale? How do you ramp it up? How do you get to more people? And how do you double that, triple that? How do you 10X that? So really it's all really about community. And so, Rachel, if you were doing an NFT like in your world, how do you typically today, network with people? What is your way of networking with people today to reach your community?
Well, social media, I network with a lot of people through LinkedIn, Instagram, there's TikTok, Twitter, Clubhouse, but my main
YouTube, yeah.
Yes, YouTube, and of course the OG Facebook, but that's not the top one. But my top two are LinkedIn and Instagram. Yeah, and so just presenting yourself and displaying what you're doing and your project in all of those different platforms.
Yeah. And Rach, I know you work with people who are kind of surprised sometimes that you're so active on LinkedIn. What's your perception of that, today? What's the value of doing it versus not doing it?
I've just received a lot of extra help and feedback through LinkedIn about my career from connecting with different artists in the industry. And I think it is a giant pool of knowledge that you can just learn from so many people there. And I've talked to some of my friends and people that I work with, and some use LinkedIn a lot, some others hardly use LinkedIn. And it actually blows some of my friends' minds when I tell them just how I have received different jobs and extended my career just through LinkedIn. So I don't think that we should at all I don't think that LinkedIn is something that we should definitely not be thinking about in that space. Like, LinkedIn is a giant part of how you can talk about what you're doing with your different projects. And even if it might seem like very professional, each platform has their own specialty, and you can showcase each part of your project through each platform.
Yeah. Rachel, I was on a live webinar. It was somebody else's. I think it was last Friday, about a week ago. And there's a woman I know who's really an expert on LinkedIn, and she does a really, really good job. And she was the guest on that program. That's why I watched it. And she said that in her business, in the last couple of years, they've moved to where 30% of their business comes from clients that saw them first on LinkedIn. And so if you're out there watching and you're saying, hey, is this really a platform to be able to reach people on? LinkedIn is absolutely a platform to be able to reach people on. And then, yeah, absolutely. And then, Gabe, I'm going to flip this over to you for a minute, is that we do two kinds of outreach. Like right now, we're doing outreach on about 6 different social media platforms simultaneously. We're reaching out to people all at one time. And then the other thing that we do, Gabe does a lot of sales and marketing, new business development work for us. And it's all hardcore push, Gabe. And just what's your perception on the difference between, hardcore sending messages and emails and, versus the kind of outreach I just talked about, where the woman said 30% of the people see her on LinkedIn and they reach out to her and they buy her services. They're in manufacturing, they're in aerospace. But Gabe, what do you see as kind of the difference between those things and the difficulty in doing them?
Yeah, well, first of all, marketing on or reaching out on LinkedIn is super easy. What's funny, you were saying, Rachel, you were talking about how not a lot of your friends even use LinkedIn or had one, and I didn't have one until a few months ago, and I just recently created one, so I didn't even have one either. But let me tell you what LinkedIn is. After seeing your LinkedIn profile, Mark,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so if you have connections, it's so easy to reach out. Okay, as opposed to if you are doing marketing, emailing people, half the time you're sending bulk emails to people. You're not even going to get. What are you going to get?
Getting them.
10% of those people are even going to
1 or
open
2
them.
or
Right.
3%. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And LinkedIn, if you're connected with them, or even if you send them a message and you're not even connected, you can there's a good chance that they're going to be opening that message, or they'll be connecting with
Response.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
very way more responsive than just cold
Yeah, yeah.
cold
So
calling,
listen,
or
community is important, and we have to be able to be reaching out to our communities. And so point number one I wanted to bring up tonight was community. All right. You have to reach your community where they are, and you have to use the method to be able to reach them. And I believe that our social medias that we're doing are highly effective. So let's go to the next slide, if we could, please. Point number two that I'm bringing up tonight is, what's the utility that you're planning on doing with your business? Now, let me define utility in a slightly different way. What is the business, product, and service that you're going to offer to your community that we just talked about? And can you bundle that into an NFT? What is the business functionality? Do you have a roadmap? And a roadmap is just where are you going? What are you doing now? What's next? What's after that? And do you have a team? All right. So when you look at NFTs out there in the industry today, you need to look at what is the utility that it's going to provide to you? How many different utilities is it providing? What is the roadmap? And what is the team? Who's the team, that's really involved? Because it's important that you understand what the experience is. And is this just, well, Gabe, let me ask you this, is that, how often do we see tokens or NFTs rise out of nowhere? And then, tell us about that for a minute, about the rug pull, and tell people what that is.
just yeah. So unfortunately, crypto and NFTs are because they're not regulated,
It's
and
still a wild, wild west.
yeah,
Yeah.
anybody can create any token at any time, and shill them to their million followers, and then just run away with all the money. That's unfortunate, but it's happened, and it's still happening. So
So
it's a
Gabe,
problem,
I want to take a fast pause, and we're going to continue this conversation because I want to do this. All right.
right?
Is that I wanted to bring that up because you hear that. Okay. That's an objection that people have. All right. And
Hmm.
I want to address that is that, let me ask you this. Have there ever been legitimate businesses that have taken people's money and they've disappeared? All right. And the answer is yes.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
And it has nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
right.
So when I say that you should evaluate a project and you should determine its roadmap, its utility, and its team, I'm really just saying you should evaluate the business is what you should do. You should become confident in the business and then make an investment in what it is that you're doing in the business, not in this thing that's cryptocurrency or NFTs. It just happens that we put those together to create value. Now, Gabe, you've seen some of those, tank when people didn't do that. And then talk to us about rug pulls and doxing and undoxing, because I would just want people to know those terms.
Yeah. So one of the terms you said, doxing, is
Yeah,
when
doxing.
when everybody on their team is either anonymous or not anonymous.
Hey,
Um,
wait. You're anonymous tonight.
Today I am anonymous, but
Okay. All right. Okay.
but,
All right. Okay.
the anonymity I can't speak
Yeah.
right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so if the team is doxed, then that means they're usually their names and their faces are out there. Okay, and
Yeah.
so if they're anonymous, they haven't been doxed, and that is a very important thing, especially in crypto, um, because usually if there are some projects where even if they're not doxed, they could be a good project, but it's a little bit more safe if
Just
they
adds
are.
risk.
It's a little more
Just
safe
adds
if they
risk,
are,
right?
right? Because they can, they could take all the money and you wouldn't even know who these people are. So
So there's a term out there that if you ever see it, DYOR, DYOR. If someone says DYOR, what does that mean? It means do your own research, right? And it's no different than when someone tells you is that don't invest in a stock or don't invest in a product or buy a product without doing your own research. And so it's no different in this space, in NFT space, as it is, anywhere else. And Gabe, just real quick before we go to the next subject, just tell people what it means when someone says a rug pull, because I know that gets thrown around. Okay.
yeah, so it's rough. I don't like talking about it. So rug pull is just when we say a project, an NFT or cryptocurrency is launched, and pretty much the creators they uh, they take all the money and
And run.
they run. So it's a tough situation,
They
but
pull the rug out from under your feet, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. So that's why it's important to do your own research and understand, really who the team is and the roadmap and the utility and understand the business that you're getting involved in. Let's go to the next slide. So that was point number 2. Now, point number 3 tonight is the value, right? So what's the difference between 2 and 3? All right. So number 2 was the utility. Number 3 is the value. So I'm saying what is it that they're delivering? And then number 3 is what's the value of what they're delivering. All right. So if you want to be successful in an NFT project, you need to create something that has tremendous value. And you need to stack utilities. You need to give somebody more from the value of having an NFT than if they would just buy the service outright alone, for example. That's my opinion. All right. And so we've seen the value of NFTs go up themselves when they're just collectibles. But if you add the value of utility and the increased growing value of utility that gets added to an NFT over time by a reliable business, that's what I mean by utility stacking. Stacking up products and services now that are more than just one. And the synergy of that coming together gives you increased value from the increased value of the NFT. And if you're having one like ours, which retains value and you can resell it, they're not all like that, but ours, you can resell it, then you retain value. It's like putting money in the bank is that, you can actually resell it at a later time. And if the value of the cryptocurrency it's based on goes up, then the value of the NFT goes up. Or if it's in high demand, then the value of the NFT goes up. So not only are you buying into the value of a product service, you actually have the value of the collectible NFT that's part of it. All right. And then just a couple of other things is, Rach, in your own business, what's the value of speed and flexibility just in your own business? I'm not talking about NFTs. I'm just talking about in your business.
If you don't have speed or flexibility, probably not going to make it. Yeah. I especially flexibility, because there's so many things changing when you're working with a big group of people, and the speed it's important. Like, definitely want to get everything done like as fast as possible, but we also do value the quality. So it's kind of a balance every day between quality and speed. But I think the biggest thing that the top priority is flexibility when you're working with a big team, or just in general, just any type of team.
Yeah.
So that I think that is I know that you need that in order to be successful.
Yeah. And if we're looking at an NFT project, it's important that it gets done, quickly, but it gets done with quality,
Right.
like what you just said. All right. But
Right.
also that we have flexibility so that when things change, that we can adapt to what the needs are of the community and continue to provide maximum value by providing flexibility, the demands of the community around us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Gabe, when I talk about value of the future, I'm a little bit talking about the roadmap. What's the value of having a solid roadmap, in a crypto product, in a blockchain product?
Well, it's just like anything else. We want to know what's happening in the future. Is this a project that's going to be working on bettering itself and adding more value in the future? Are we going to be adding anything other than what we started with? So in blockchain, a big part of the project is laying out a roadmap of all the of the next couple years, or the future of the project. What's going on? Are we working on it? Are we developing on this project consistently? That's pretty much in a lot of businesses. I think a roadmap is a huge thing. So
It is to have
yeah,
a roadmap in any
not just
business.
in blockchain. Yeah,
It's like having a business plan. And in crypto and blockchain, people started calling it a roadmap, right?
right. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw that slide back up there and do a summary on this, if I could, please. So key elements of an NFT project is we started out by saying that it was community, utility, and value. Those are the three things that I wanted to talk about tonight about process. All right. So when you're looking at the process of evaluating your business and trying to determine whether you should put an NFT project in place and what would be the value of doing that. Now I'm going to summarize this up here and saying that the value ends up being in that you take those business services, you provide your customer additional value by bundling those services into a bundle. And then on top of that, you put it into an NFT and you gain the momentum of the movement forward of the market. You may give them liquidity depending upon the product. And then when you put this all together, you're creating additional synergy, which can give you, high value and return. So in the end, these are some of the key things that you should be looking at for an NFT project. Now, by way of helping you to understand this better and explain it, we're just going to tell you a little bit more about our project that we did just at a high level so that you understand really what it is. So let's go to the next slide. So we went ahead and created a project which we called Aviator Peeps. And let me tell you the motivation, behind that is that I've been passionate my entire life about digital and about aviation. And through the course of my doing business in aviation over almost 40 years now, I have met so many different people. I've met people in different countries all around the world. And, Rach, you've traveled to additional countries. Gabe has. Rach, when you've met people around the world in different countries, just describe sort of the enriching value of doing that.
I mean, there's a lot of different amazing things that I can talk about, but learning more about just the different cultures that the different parts of the world embody, and being a part of that, and living there and being able to experience different experiences from where you grew up or where you live, just to enhance your perspective on life, and meeting so many different unique people, and certain people you may not meet where you live. It's overall just a beautiful thing to be able to meet other people that are like us, but just live in different
all around the world,
parts of the world. Yeah.
Just all around the world. And Gabe, tell us the quick story about how you bought a pair of shoes in a foreign country with a guy.
Yeah. So I was studying abroad in Spain, and I believe we made a stop in Dubai, actually. And I had a driver. We had a driver there because I didn't know anything about Dubai, and so I had this a driver pick me up, and he was like, "You want to go to the mall, the biggest mall in the world, or I believe."
Yeah.
We went in there, and he bought some shoes, and I bought some shoes too. We went in and we bought some shoes together. So
you guys just hung out,
We hung out in Dubai, and
you got to know somebody, from around the world in Dubai, and so anyway, our motivation is that I'm passionate about aviation and digital, but really the true thing is that digital connects us as a people, aviation connects us as a people, transportation connects us as a people. It's not just a business connector, it brings people together. And so our motivation behind Aviator Peeps was to create something which was exciting, that engulfed our passions, and we were able to turn it into part of our business. And that's where Aviator Peeps came from. And let me tell you about the next thing is that the utility, that falls behind it. So let's go to the next slide if we could. So, the first thing I talked about tonight, of course, was community, and we talked about LinkedIn a lot, and so much of our community is actually on LinkedIn, and so I have almost 23,000 followers on LinkedIn. Between our other communities that we have, I've estimated that we have about 50,000 followers, and so you might say, "Oh, that's nothing." I see people that have 1 million, 2 million, 3, 4 million followers on their TikTok account or something like that, but 20,000 followers and 50,000 total between our different communities. 3,000 on Clubhouse, and 3,000 on YouTube, and the different platforms that we're on, 10,000 on Twitter, I think, or some 8,000 or something, you put them all together and we have about 50,000 followers, and that's our community. And so what we had to do is we had to assess our community and say, how can we reach this community, with a product and service? And so the very first thing that we talked about tonight was look at your community. Who's your community and what are they really, looking for, right? So that's what we did, is we looked at our community. Let's go to the next slide. So then the next thing we did is we said, what's our utility? What is our real product, right? What are we really doing? One of the things we've done over the last couple of years is we've done what we're doing right now, is that we actually bring people on our stage and we help people to get their valuable message out, is what we do. Rachel, she had a product launch that she did a couple of years ago where you finished a video game. Which one was it that you finished? It was
The Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2, when you were working for Sony PlayStation. And what did we do for the product launch?
We did a broadcast on LinkedIn, and a lot of my friends and coworkers came and watched it, and were online, excited to see that we were talking about The Last of Us Part 2 on the day that it launched.
The product that they were involved in. Yeah, right. So what we did is we reached out to the community and we put Rachel and I on the stage and we had an interview. And so that was sort of a unique, different thing that we did, and nobody was doing that kind of thing. And if you go to the next slide here, I have real quick, is that what the core business that we have here is that we're providing utility. And one of the utilities that we're providing is we're enabling people to get their valuable message out. And in this particular case, I was down at MRO Americas, and that's Johan Bourdais of Embraer there. And I did an interview with him, and they were just doing a launch of their freighter program. And they were now doing a new freighter program. And I sat in through their press release, and afterwards he agreed to do a interview with me, and I helped him to get his message out. And we had thousands of people that heard his message that weren't at the conference at the MRO Americas, and we were able to get his message out. And so that's one thing that we're doing. We help people get their message out. The next slide, please. The next thing that we do is we go to conferences, like I said, and we have individual webinars that we do, and we do live broadcasts, and I do stage presentations and things like that. But we record these things, and we give people a platform to be able to reach this community that I was talking about. The next slide. And then the other thing that we do is we do individual targeted webinars. Like we'll take a company that wants to get a valuable message out. We'll craft sort of a plan to be able to reach a certain audience or a certain community. And then we'll do campaigns to be able to reach out and do that. But all of that comes from us evaluating the community and bringing these valuable products and services and putting them out. And what we've done is we've coined our NFT product. We've called it Stages. And so what we're doing now is we took this NFT and we put it together with our business product that we have. And we said, hey, now if you acquire one of our Aviator Peeps NFTs called Stages, we're going to give people access to be able to come onto the stage and to be able to get their voice out about their valuable products and services. So you can see we put the two together to be able to create synergy that was part of our passion and part of our business. So let's go to the next one. So the next is that we found that it was incredibly important that people understand blockchain and aviation. All right. And earlier this year, Gabriel and I, we started a program 9 or 10 weeks ago. We started a 24 episode series where we decided we wanted to help people understand what was happening in the industry about blockchain and aviation. And we brought people on a stage and we said, hey, we're not here to sell anything, but we're bringing people in so they can provide valuable knowledge, understanding, and education. And our goal was to be able to familiarize people with blockchain. All right. And I was on a meeting just a couple of days ago, and somebody said, there's no blockchain in aviation. And I didn't want to be critical of that person, but they just didn't understand. They didn't understand how broad it really was. Gabe, how many companies did we bring on the stage to talk about their products and services that they're doing in blockchain and aviation today?
Probably about 20 different companies that all were, they were all implementing different or giving ideas on how to implement blockchain in specifically aviation.
Yeah. And
who told you that? Who told you there's nothing blockchain aviation?
It's incredible because there's so many people out there that are doing that. And we just hit the surface, the very surface of it. And so one of the important parts is education. All right. For people to understand really what's out there, what companies are doing, the basics of blockchain. And so what we did is we created a second utility in our NFT. We called it Aviator Peeps Admission. Now, what was it? All right. Let's go to the next slide. is that we already had a portal that existed, and it was an aviation aerospace portal, where in that portal, we were providing knowledge and education. I have a 30-day training program. It's like a digital transformation boot camp. We have mastermind sessions in there where people have talked about things like blockchain and operations and other things like that. We've put our broadcasts that we've done in there. We've put our interviews that we did at the conferences. And I also, over the course of the last 24 episodes, I've had some of these experts reach back out to me and say, I want to train in that portal. So these people have already committed to training in that portal. And so we have people that are going to be training in the portal, and on a regular basis, we're going to have live training that's within the portal. But let me give you a quick glimpse into it. If you go to the next slide for me, please. So what the portal looks like is there's videos in there where we're doing education as part of the utility. Next slide. And then also we're doing things like actual hands-on training where I'm actually training on things that's part of this digital transformation, boot camp that's in there. Next is that there's actually some specific training where we're digging into deep technical understanding of certain subjects like blockchain. Next. And then we also have some tools in there, things like sample RFPs and schedules and process flowcharts and business requirements and things like that. Things that we believe that would really help people to be successful in their journeys on digital transformation. And we believed that by putting all those things into a portal and making them available as utility, all right, as our business products and services combined with utility, it was going to help people to be able to be more successful in evaluating and implementing, NFT projects such as ours. So let's go to the next slide. And then let's never leave this out, is support. In the portal, there's support. And that's a place where people can actually, reach out and ask questions and things like that. And Gabe, tell people quickly about our Discord that we have. We're really just getting it going, and we're trying to grow it. We're trying to move people over from LinkedIn into our Discord, but tell people about it real quick.
Yep, we're trying to get everybody in our new Discord. It's going to be we're going to be talking about all the NFT drops and any problems that you may have. We're going to be talking about utility. There's a bunch of different sections in there. We're going to be talking about crypto. There's a whole bunch of different voice channels or text channels that we've got set up in there, and it's just so easy to ask about anything there. Yeah, compared to other platforms. Yeah.
Hey, we have a banner that we can throw up there which shows the Discord. Yeah, there it is right there. So you might want to just take a snapshot of this or something. But if you go there, this is actually the link, the invite link, the permanent invite link to be able to give you access to the Discord. And we'd love to have you join. If you're a Twitter person, you can go to DigitalAircraft you can go to twitter.com/DigitalAircraft. And you can follow our Twitter, but there's also, the reason I tell you that is there's a link to the Discord at the top of the Twitter if you go there. So you can also find the link in Twitter. So listen, providing that kind of utility, bringing it all together and providing tremendous value from that is an important part of actually being successful in an NFT project. So combining the utility. All right, let's go to the last grouping here so we can kind of bring this together. And then the final thing is that we have a third class of NFT, which hasn't been released yet. It's going to be soon. And it's called the Aviator Peeps Connect. And what it is it's truly just a collectible. We're providing, just a fun representation of different people. And Rachel, I thought here maybe you could sort of tell people a little bit about the collectible nature of the NFT and of the art and what we've done with that.
Yes. So every piece that we've created is unique. We created different layers and different designs for the peeps to display their clothing, their different objects that they're holding, and it all encompasses aviation. The theme is aviation. That's why it's called Aviator Peeps. But we put a spin on it and had different types of clothing and designs from different people from all over the world. And also we added some digital aspects to it because blockchain and crypto, obviously it connects with that, and digital aircraft. But also just the artist that created this series, he did a really good job in the detail of the objects and the different accessories. They're so fun.
They really are. We have
Yeah.
a slide that we can bring up that shows a few more of them. The next slide shows the marketplace. Just one quick second, Gabriel, tell people where this is.
Yeah, so OpenSea.io is pretty much the largest NFT, but it is the biggest NFT marketplace out there. So this is where you're buying NFTs or selling NFTs, and OpenSea.io. You type in Aviator Peeps, and there will be a couple different stages and admission will both pop up. So just Aviator Peeps in the OpenSea search bar, and you can check out the collection.
Yeah, excellent. So that's how you get there. But then quickly back over to you, Rachel. You were talking about just all the different, different people and the traits and things like that. Is that we worked really hard to think about what are the different things that represent the different people in our community that we talked about, and how could people best associate with them. Hey, Rach, I had a conference with a woman who's a helicopter pilot a couple of days ago. And, I was immediately thinking, oh, look at there's one that maybe kind of looks like a helicopter pilot. And I thought that'd be a great one for that person, to grab that kind of represented, who they were,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's kind of what we were thinking, right? Is that people could sort of look at them and see which ones they were attracted to, or maybe represented them or their personalities or traits or whatever. I mean, is that kind of what we were going for?
Definitely. I think that each one has such a unique little personality to it, and all the way from the clothing and the accessories down to the expressions, and each little expression just changes the whole vibe and feeling of the character.
It does. It really does.
And so, and the colors, the artist did an amazing job with all the colors, the fun colors and the fun backgrounds and the scenery. And so I'm just really happy and proud of how this project has turned out, and excited to have more people being able to own their own little Aviator Peep.
Yeah. And then if you could just quickly tell people about the giving back aspect of it.
Yeah. So every time we create a new line of different NFTs, whoever the artist was that we worked with, they're always going to receive a small portion of
royalty.
royalties at least whenever any type of NFT is sold. So they will forever be receiving a royalty on that, which is
not
really
a common
good
thing in the art industry, today.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if I was a part of a big project and like a game or a movie is sold every time, I don't get paid for it, because I even though I was an artist and I worked on it usually that the artist, like the animator or a concept designer, a lot of the artists, they don't get paid every time that product is sold. So unless they themselves created it and it's like just them, it really depends on the circumstance.
And that's why we wanted to recognize the artists, to do something different, to be able to give back, to that community, to try to help promote it. And all the artists we've worked with so far are offshore. And so they're in different, communities around the world. And many of them, this is a valuable way for us to be able to give them, an income. And so that's really what we're shooting for. So that kind of wraps it up. Let's go to the next slide here, if we could. That is our Aviator Peeps utility NFT. And the reason, again, we bring that up is, we want you to know about it, and we want you to be part of it. We want you to buy into our business and be part of holding a Aviator Peeps NFT. But there was many reasons why we talked about it tonight, that not only does it provide business value, but it also, it also is a collectible. And, we hope that in the future that it's going to continue to increase in value. It has liquidity. You can actually, sell it if you're not using it anymore. And there's a cause behind it. We're actually giving back to people in other communities around the world, really, as part of it. So I encourage you to go take a look at them. They're now minting on OpenSea.io, and there's the URL down there. Now, if you want to have more information about the project itself, we do have a website, which is DigitalAircraft. Whoops, there's a typo there. that should say digitalaircraft.io, not /io. So we'll have to fix that. Look at the banner down there. It says http://digitalaircraft.io. Okay. You go there, you can learn more about the utility of the project and the value and a lot more about really what's happening with it. So anyway, that's really what we want to talk about tonight. And I want to invite you to our next live broadcast that we do on next Thursday night. We were doing these every Thursday night, and we want to bring you valuable information about what's happening in the industry. And one way we're doing that is we're helping you to understand blockchain through looking at real live actual NFT, projects that we're doing and drawing correlations to that. Now, you might want to do one yourself. You can reach out to me and talk to me about that. I could potentially help you look at your own business and how an NFT might fit into your business. But we're trying to use this project that we have, this use case that we have, in order for you to better understand the possibilities and the opportunities, in doing something like that. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, as you always do, or by email that's on the screen there in front of us. So listen, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. And I look forward to seeing you again. One more thing I wanted to tell you, just as I'm wrapping up tonight, next week, I'm actually speaking at the Aircraft IT in Miami on Tuesday. That's Tuesday, September 13th, on day one. And I have a speaking slot at 11:15 Eastern time. And we're going to be talking about blockchain and aviation. Surprise, surprise. There's been so much interest in it that I decided that would be the topic that I would talk about at the conference. Now, the significance of the Aircraft IT is it really is the biggest gathering of aviation people looking at IT in the world. And the one that's next week in Miami, the one in the US, is always the biggest. And so it's really a great opportunity that if you're down there, go ahead and stop in and say hi during the presentation. I'll be in the main stage in the morning of the first day. And I'd love to be able to have a conversation with you afterwards, after we have the presentation. Looking forward to have a conversation about blockchain and aviation. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Rachel, thanks for your creative insight and your direction on our board. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And Gabriel, I appreciate your knowledge on the crypto and the aspects of it. Gabe has also helped coordinate different contractors and things like that we use from a technical standpoint. And I appreciate your contributions, Gabe.
You're welcome.
Yep. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. And as I always say, fair winds and following seas. Have a great day. And I look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast. Bye for now.